This is the Anatomy Resource Lab, or I oftentimes like to refer to it as the ARC. So the goal is to bring students and begin to lay that foundation to bridge that gap, just like an ARC would do, to bridge that foundational gap of what they had previously from an anatomical perspective to what they need to lay a strong foundation for what they need professionally. We are somewhat of a different type of program when it comes to anatomy. A lot of physical therapy schools will utilize a gross cadaver lab. Utilization of a gross dissection lab can run $90,000 to $100,000 a year. Here we do not have that. What we do to educate students, not relying upon using a cadaver lab, but utilizing other resources where students can actually visualize the different anatomical structures that I might be talking about in lab or utilizing them in lecture. When the students leave a dissection lab, they leave the lab behind them. For us, when they leave the lab like this one or the classroom, they can take that app with them.
So we were introduced to Visible Body, which is an app. Zoom in on certain areas that you need and click on certain joints that you need to see how they work, and it'll show you animations of how the joint works.
Yeah, so basically what you can do with the app is I have my iPad and I'll pull it out and I can actually layer the muscles on top of each other. So I think having just access to it's a great thing. The models I think are phenomenal because I had a cadaver lab when I was in my undergrad and I've had models, and my personal opinion is I like the models more. You can read a book as much as you want. You can read the same sentence over and over again, and sometimes that sentence just doesn't make sense. Coming here with the book and then looking at the model and then putting those correlations together can kind of help, because it can get pretty frustrating when you're like, I just don't understand. And then you go and look at it and you're like, oh, that makes more sense now.
The app does a really good job of seeing the really deep structures. I can't remember a time that I got super frustrated in here just because there are a lot of different resources, so if one's not necessarily working for me or I'm not really getting it with one thing, we usually have something else that I can refer to, and usually that helps me out. And having a resource like that has really made it easy for me to get through anatomy.